This meeting of the Ware County Board of Elections and Registration will now come to order. Mr. Supervisor, no, excuse me, you're not up yet. Invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll do the invocation. Mr. Preston, will you do the pledge? Our God and our Father in heaven, we thank you so much for this beautiful day. We pray, Father, that as the Board of Elections is gathered here to conduct the business of elections for our county, that you would be with us, that you would shed light and make sure that we do these things in accordance with your will and the will of the Constitution of the United States. We pray, Father, that we always do things openly, honestly, and according to the law. Be with us, Father, as we conduct this business, and be with us throughout the rest of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray, and amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, Mr. Supervisor, roll call.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Preston.
Here.
Bernie Campbell.
Here.
Bernie Solomon Gaines.
Here.
Chairman Barber.
Here.
And Board Member Whitfield is not here, so we have a forum, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I'll have the agenda in front of you. Is there any adjustments that you want to make to it? If not, we'll accept it without objection. Mr. Supervisor, you have anybody sign up for public comments?
Yes, sir. Unless when Mr. Lockett came, he decided that. No, sir.
Okay, you also have the minutes in front of you. Hopefully you've had time to go over those. Does anybody have any changes, corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll accept them without objection. We have no public hearing. All right, new business, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under new business, you have in your package a memorandum of agreement with the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission. I put the memorandum of agreement there, plus the email attachments and things. You know, this is the time for us to, the state to have their elections for the water and soil, the soil and water. We don't do anything as far as advertising, but we have to sign this agreement saying we will conduct their elections. They will do everything. We just have to make sure it's on the ballot, and so what you have in front of you is just a basic agreement saying we're just going to work there. We're going to do their elections.
Which elections?
The soil and water
I
conservation.
know, but when are we going to do them?
Oh, this would be the one in unless there's a primary, but it'd be. I think it'd be the one on the November ballot. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We would
They don't
not
do a primary.
expect there to be more than one run, would you?
Normally it's just one person,
Right.
but just in case there's more than one, they have to set up.
So if there's more than one, then they'll be in the May primary?
No, it'll go to November. Yeah.
No, if they do have to have, if there's two running for a seat, then they would be in the May primary?
No, they will go to November. It's a November election.
It's nonpartisan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on that.
Mr. Preston?
I was noticing in the information that there would be a runoff election if there were to be a need for that, and it said for 4 weeks. Is that normally the time between the general election in November and a general runoff election?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's take a moment, turn to that page 2
In the agreement or the
in the
memo of understanding? Of
in the
agreement?
MOA. In
Page
number 6, in elections to fill 2 positions in one county, the 2 candidates receiving the most votes will be declared the winners. In elections to fill 3 positions in 2 county, the 3 candidates receiving the most votes will be declared the winners. In all cases of ties, runoff elections will be held 4 weeks following the election for the tied candidates only.
So in either case, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Now, let's-
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
In
Marion.
either case, it would be the unless there's a tie, it would be the majority of whomever
Correct.
received the majority of the votes.
Well,
So what would be
that's
that
what
50?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Only if there's a tie, there will be a runoff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's none of that 51% of the vote.
That's correct.
Elect. It's the majority, whatever that majority is.
No, I think it would be a plurality because
that's
look
correct.
at number 7. In elections to fill 3 positions in 2 county soil and water conservation, the 3 candidates receiving the most votes will be declared the winners. That's not a majority. That's a plurality.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But I think what Commissioner, not Commissioner, I'm about to say Commissioner, Ms. Marion Solomon Gaines was saying that, you don't have to get 51% of the vote in order to
And that's
avoid a
another thing.
runoff.
A majority is not 51%.
That's correct.
And for everybody else, a majority is 1 more vote than half.
Mm-hmm.
And a 51% and 1 vote more than half can be different.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's
Okay,
true.
so
Now, we have one,
we know
we have
what
one in
majority
this
is.
county. We
Sorry?
only have one in this county,
One what?
one representative.
On the soil and water
Yes.
conservation?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. There's not gonna be a primary.
No,
At all.
it goes into November.
That's right. So
And
this one will start in November, and the only reason for a runoff would be in the case of a tie for the last seat available.
That's correct, yes.
Okay? I have it clear in my mind now. Any other discussion? So, Mr. Supervisor, do we need a motion to accept this memorandum of agreement?
Yes, and to authorize you to sign it, and I can send it on up to the commission.
Do we hear a motion?
I second that motion.
We got a motion by Mr. Chambliss, second by Ms. Solomon Gaines, to accept the memorandum of agreement between the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission and the election superintendent of Ware County, and authorizing the supervisor to sign the agreement. Do I hear any discussion? Seeing none, we'll accept it without objection. Okay, Mr. Supervisor, second early voting location for the May primary.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I put up under new business for discussion mainly to see what y'all want to do, to talk about having a second site for the May primary. We expect a pretty busy primary season, and normally for large elections, we have the planning and codes courtroom downstairs as a second early voting site. And we've always given the board that decision. Our recommendation, because we don't know how many, we expect to be pretty busy, is to have a second site. Because large elections, we normally have about, let's say about 7,000 or 8,000 voters at one site, and then we add another 2,500 or so at downstairs. And so I don't know if we have the capacity, at the main office to handle, 9,000 to 10,000 voters for early voting. So that's why we do it like that. As far as poll workers, I need out Ms. Ruth. She's always crying about poll workers. There will be a cost to it, of course, because that'll be 3 weeks, basically 17 days of early voting, that we'd have to budget for. But we were anticipating a busy year. So let's have a discussion. Any questions? I know Mr. Board Member Preston, he stopped by and he had a couple of questions. I hope, turn to you.
Mr. Preston?
I had several questions. I'll start, and I'll just go one at a time and let you answer and then go to the next one. The cost of the second location, I know that would primarily be workers. Is there any facility fee that we would have to pay in addition to that? What are we talking about as far as actual dollars?
I don't have the exact numbers, and I apologize, I didn't get the exact numbers for you. We'll have about 7 workers there for early voting for each day. So we're looking at about, about 5,000. That'll cost us in the staff time. There's no other costs associated with having the second site other than poll workers, just allocating their time.
Would that be budgeted in our budget already, or?
Yes, we have it in the budget.
If we did that for the primary, are we locked into the runoff for the primary? Because I feel like there will be a runoff, or would we have the one location?
No,
the
we don't.
runoff
We're not
election?
locked in on the runoff for having a second location.
Say it again.
I said we're not locked in. If we do it in primary, we don't have to have a second location for the runoff if we don't desire.
That's the questions I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Supervisor, would it be a true statement to say that in a runoff, we have a significantly less amount of voter turnout?
Correct. Yes, that is definitely a true statement. Yeah. Historically, we're talking about 15 to 20. If we're lucky, 15% turnout, maybe 20 for this election.
Okay, so what is your pleasure? Do we want to have the second location for the primary or keep it at only the Board of Elections office? And if we do want a second, do we want to have it here in this building?
Yeah, I've already cleared it with planning and codes downstairs. They've already penciled it in. If the board desires to do that. At one time I talked to you about moving it to another location if we needed. I just didn't think it was the right time because it'd be so busy. I think it'd be more confusion out there if we moved it, across town. Yeah. So I would recommend that it's downstairs.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Marion,
I make a motion that we,
you do what?
I move, excuse me. I move that we, go along with the manager's recommendation of using the room downstairs for a second location for early voting.
Your second?
Second.
Got a second? Motion by Ms. Marion, seconded by Mr. Chambliss, that we have a second location and it be located in the Board of Assessors conference room downstairs.
Planning and codes.
Planning and codes.
Planning and codes.
That's right there across the street
court,
from each other.
yes.
All right, you got that straight.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote. As many as favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, under the early voting, the next one will be establishing a time for early voting. Staff recommendation, we go from 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, and of course, the regular 9 to 5 time on Saturday, which would be 2 Saturday.
And that is our regular time that we've done in the past.
For regular size election, we go to 8 to 5. We thought about extending it because of the amount of people that may come out and, going to work beforehand. That way, we'll start a little earlier and we'll finish just a little bit late for people that's just getting off work at 5. They can shoot on by and vote.
Okay. You've heard the recommendation of the supervisor. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Preston, second by Ms. Marion, that we accept the recommendations for the time for early voting of the supervisor. Is there any discussion?
Just for clarification, you did say that there would be 2 Saturdays.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
do we know those dates already for early voting statewide?
I know the supervisor does.
I don't know the exact.
I thought I saw it somewhere.
April. Give me a second. I have it sitting right in front of me. 20-something, April 27th,
Okay,
okay? And it ends the Friday before, the election.
Did you say 27th?
Yes, sir, 27th,
so it's the Friday before
The election.
which is,
election,
to
okay.
be the, what I wanna say the 14th, and I apologize, I just.
What's the 14th? Is that the Friday or is that election day?
It will go to, I'm sorry, May 15th
Okay,
would be the, end of early voting,
okay,
okay? And of course, the 19th is the election day.
There you go. Any more
you said it's the
discussion?
19th?
Yes,
19th
election day
is
is the
election day.
19th.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, all in favor of accepting the supervisor's recommendations for early voting time? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Mr. Supervisor, you have a report, I see.
Yes, sir, we're gonna keep it kind of quick. Qualifying, I just want to remind you that qualifying is, March 2nd through the 6th. We have everything ready to go. I got with, I got with all the package. I mean, I've done all the packages, got them ready to go. Got with the GOP, they're gonna handle the GOP, candidates qualifying, which is be at the courthouse, second floor, and anyone else who's qualifying, Democratic, and the nonpartisan offices will qualify at the election office. So this March 2nd through the 6th. The next item is the, just remind about the Gavrio Conference, March 22nd through the 25th in Athens. And it'll be me, Taylor, and Lori. So we extended the invitation to Ms. Ludine because she didn't, she wasn't able to attend the Savannah Conference. So she hasn't gotten back with me yet, so it'll be us four going. Next is the, I do want to give you a report on the Gavrio Day at the Capitol. Last Friday, Gavrio, which is the election officials, Georgia election officials met up at the Capitol to meet with the legislators to talk about the different election bills that's out there and what's coming down the pike. So that was very successful because right now there's a couple things that's concerning to the election officials, and we just want to make sure that the legislators hear from the election professionals before they make a knee-jerk reaction that may they may have to come back later on and and change and find out it's just puts us behind the 8 ball, and that's what we're afraid of, because this year it's going to be tough to make real hard changes knowing the elections that we have coming up this year. But we understand, legislators just they're politicians, so they're politicking. And so hopefully they will take all sides into consideration when they pass their legislation. And any questions on the first 3 items I mentioned? Okay, the next one is just want to give you a report on the list maintenance. The office is still going through list maintenance. We're going through some deaths. The state has started something new this time, which I'm glad. Just give you some background. When someone dies and they're local, we get updates from the health department, vital records. Sometimes funeral homes sends us notices on a monthly basis, or we see it in the obituary, okay? The problem is what happens when someone who dies in California or dies in Florida, dies in another state that we don't know about, and if the family doesn't let us know, so we had a list of about, crazy enough, about 150
Wow.
people on the list that have passed, and what they're doing now, they're cross-referencing Social Security, and so if the Social Security numbers and everything matches, we have to still verify it. We have to make sure that it's a match. Just because you use the last four of the Social Security number, that doesn't guarantee that may be that person. And so so they're doing that now, finishing up that list to make sure that if a name is on the list, we still do our due diligence. We'll still notify the health department here to see if they have anything on record of that person passing. We've gone through funeral homes. We even do social media to try to see if we can find some information. And if we do and we remove that person, the household gets a letter, saying, hey, if this was a mistake, please let us know, and then we'll reverse it if by chance it's a junior instead of a senior, that kind of thing. So they're doing that now. I know Eric is a hot item, but the list comes from people that aren't in Eric states, because we don't have that cooperation with Eric states to immediately notify. Eric, that's one part of the Eric system. You notify, the states. You have an agreement out there to notify of deaths and change of addresses and all that good stuff like that. So most of these people come from the states that aren't a part of Eric. And so I'm glad we had, like I say, we had about 150 people. Of course, they're not voting, but it's just a way of just cleaning up our list to make sure we have a clean list every time we have an election, And so I'm hoping that this is something that they're going to be doing at least quarterly, sending out lists of people that's passed, that's moved on to family outside of the state, and then they pass, and we don't get notifications. So, any questions on the little list maintenance we're doing? Okay.
Question.
Yes.
The 22,533, that's as of what date? Oh, you're about to tell us that.
Yes. In your package, I did a little spreadsheet for you, and the chairman loves spreadsheets. And so I broke down our voter registration by race and gender. And so you have a list there. As of last Wednesday, before I went up to Atlanta, we had 22,533 registered active and inactive voters in Ware County.
And when does registration stop for the primary? Do you have that date?
It stops 30 days before the voting.
So 30 days before
Yes.
May 19th?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's just something that you can look at, and it's always interesting reading, seeing what the precincts and the race and the sex and the gender of all the voters. Just interesting things that when you're not doing anything at home, you can pull it up. little tidbits for you. Also in your package, I have an update on the election-related legislation. First in the package is the Gavio's legislative priorities. I just read them out. The first one is to extend the deadline to remove the QR codes on ballots. Gavio, our election officials association, we don't have a problem with removing the QR code on the ballot. We just, since the state legislature didn't fund the money, in this budget, and we're like, don't make crazy changes on equipment before July, because there's nowhere in the world, we can run an effective election with new equipment, trying to train and learn ourselves and train the poll workers. So we was asking the legislature, if nothing else, just to extend the deadline to remove the QR codes from the ballots. I don't mean kick the can down the road. We're asking just to extend it, and in this coming budget, start funding whatever you want to do as far as new equipment and changes that need to be made okay, because July 1 is in the legislation now that QR codes must be removed. So that's the first priority. The second legislative priority is prohibit new state election board rules within 90 days of any election. I know there's legislation out there that's less than 90 days, so that's fine, but right now, it's pretty much to the last minute, they can make changes, and that doesn't bode well for training, because a couple of years ago, when we went through this, they were passing rules at the last minute, and a lot of counties, including us, have already trained our poll workers. Now we have to go back and try to retrain them to the new rules, getting ready for early voting and the election day. So we're asking them to extend the deadline to 90 days, and we're hoping that's looked at favorably. The third is to address cost burdens on small and rural counties while enhancing efficiency across all election jurisdictions. And we're one of those small rural counties. And we say the state need to be mindful that, I think one of the other counties, when we had our regional meeting, said that, if they pass a lot of the financial burden down to the locals, a lot of the counties just don't have a whole bunch of industry to fall back on to pay the bills. It's going to fall back on the taxpayers. And I say, just like the ballot on demand, someone going in, one of the pieces of legislation now is saying that if passed, that voters could either vote on the machine or they can request a paper ballot on election day. That sounds easy, okay? But the hard part about it is that we have 22,000 voters here. We have almost 7,000 at the auditorium. I use Millwood or Waresboro. There's 1,000 voters there. If we had that option, we have to have 1,000 ballots, because you don't know how many people is going to show up, okay, and request a paper ballot. You may only have 10 people requesting paper ballots. Then you're going to have 900 or so, ballots that we had to pay for, which is a little over $1 each ballot. So the cost is going to be crazy per election. It could be easily $20,000. Right now, for provisionals and emergency ballots and absentee ballots, we spend about $2,000 per election to make sure we have enough ballots on hand. Okay, and that's right at about 2,100 ballots. So if we had to buy 2,000 ballots, we don't print them on hand. We have to have them printed by an authorized printer, which we use Tatnall. And when they send the ballots down, that's what we have. So for example, the auditorium or the stadium, where there's 3,000 voters, that's 3,000 ballots we're gonna have there. We're gonna have at that precinct, that auditorium, or at the stadium, and we may only have, say, 100 people that may want paper ballots. So now you're gonna have 2,900 ballots that we're gonna, $2,900 in ballots that will be destroyed afterwards. So it's not like we can say, well, we're just gonna have 15% ballots, because the last thing you want is someone coming in and now all of a sudden we used all the ballots up, and then they're saying we're forcing them now to use the machine, and they really want to use paper ballots. And then we'd be in front of the state election board trying to explain why we didn't have enough ballots. So it's not one of them guessing games where you can take the chance, and say, well, maybe not, because you got to plan for the worst. Even for runoffs, how many ballots do you get for a runoff? We normally get 15%, but you never know how many of them 15% is going to request a paper ballot versus a BMD machine. So costs like that, people don't realize it affects local governments, because if we have a regular election cycle, say 4 elections a year, 3 or 4, that could be easily $60,000 added to our budget. Our budget is only $300,000 regular a year. So now you're talking about adding maybe another $60,000 to the budget just to handle just a primary general election, maybe a runoff. So we want the legislators, when they look at this, if they pass something, they need to look at some type of grants or some kind of cost share to where they can help these smaller counties pay for their changes, what they're asking us to implement. Any questions on that one?
Well, it doesn't matter whether the state pays for it or the county pays for it, it's still taxpayer money.
Still taxpayer money. Still taxpayer money. And I couldn't even, I would ask y'all to come with, if I had to come up to the county commission and ask for another $60,000 for paper, I need support. I'm gonna need y'all to come with me because I know, where do you get it from?
Well,
Taxpayers.
our county government knows full well about unfunded mandates.
Yes. And so that's a concern. Like I said, we're not against paper ballots. Actually, we are for ballot on demand printers. If you want to do that, we're great with that. As long as they help pay for the toner and all the other stuff and buy the equipment. But as far as just having a stack of ballots at a precinct, waiting for people to want to request ballots, and after that's over, now you calling the shredder company and say, "Oh, come and get these 20,000 ballots and shred them." That's a waste. That's down the drain.
Mr. Supervisor, inform the board if we were mandated to have paper ballots and the state said you have to print your own, what would that entail for us?
We would have to print our own. You mean going through the authorized printer?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean entail? Like a cost?
Like, how many printers would we need? How much is the cost of a printer?
Oh, you talking about the ballot on demand printers? Mm-hmm. The ballot on demand printers, and that's an option to do that. Where when if you're familiar with coming in and voting, you scan your ID. It pulls you up. You sign your name and you verify your name and address and all that stuff. Instead of you getting the green voter card, it would automatically print your ballot right then and there. We're okay with that. Okay, but it's going to take printers. So in our county, we have 11 precincts. So that means on election day, you have to have at least 2 ballot printers each precinct, because if one goes down, there's no voting. So you have to have at least 2 plus extras, because once you get down to if one goes bad and you get down to 1. You got to be able to take another one out there just in case, because again, 2, that's the last thing in the world you want is people to show up and say, "Oh, our 2 printers are down. We can't print ballots anymore." We will be looking at a judge very, very, very quickly. We're not sure about the cost of the ballot on demand printers, but because they have to be big enough to print the large, long ballots for like a primary. This ballot here is going to be front and back, probably 18 inches long. So you can't go out and go to Kinko's or Staples and just buy any printer. You have to have an authorized printer. So for a county of our size, we probably going to have to, at a minimum, 18 printers. And the printers normally is not the cost. It's the toners and the things that that comes with it. That's the cost that you have to consider. So it would be something that the state would have to do, and not cost share, because there's no way in the world we could help. Our county could help a little bit better than Atkinson or Clinch, Charleston, the smaller counties that really don't have the economic base that we have. At least we have a little economic base. We're not like Savannah and Macon and things like that. But we're more concerned about the small rural counties, because it has to be one system statewide. You can't say small county is going to use this and large county is going to use A, B, and C. Whatever we use is going to have to be universal countywide. So either way, it's going to cost. And that's why we're asking them to delay the QR code, removing it from the ballot, and budget money in this budget here to give the state or whoever planning group they have to do the research and see what kind of system, we want to have for Georgia going forward. So,
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about allowing us to be permitted to create voting hubs, which will allow voters to cast their votes or cast their ballot anywhere within the county or the jurisdiction. What would that look like? I mean, we already have existing voting precincts. I mean, what would that look like?
That would
say
look
creating
like
hubs.
That would look like having early voting sites on election day, where if someone lives out in Manor and they work here and work in the city, they can go to any precinct.
They can go to the
in the
stadium
city.
or auditorium or wherever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Oh no, we support that. University is normally called vote centers, where that way it help people out being able to have greater access to voting.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that we're creating new actual voting hubs or new areas. Just utilizing what we have.
Yes.
And
yes.
a registered voter can go to either location.
Exactly.
Okay.
If they live in the city and they working out at Waresboro and they say, oh my gosh, it's almost 7:00, they can go to Waresboro and vote. But a lot of that's a lot of moving parts, because now we're going back to the absentee ballot, paper ballot thing, because if you go to vote centers, you can't expect Millwood to have ballots for Second Baptist Church on hand. So you'd have to go with some type of ballot on demand printers, because they have to be able to print their ballots. And the way the poll pads work now, and you've seen it on the computer, it's real time. On election day, when someone votes out at Millwood, Maine, or wherever, I mean, within 30 seconds, it's on our computer screen saying, hey, we can see the signature, we can see that person's already, checked in and all that good stuff. So the technology that we have now with the poll pass, it allows us, if the state wants to do it, to go to vote centers or the hubs. Because if a person votes out of Millwood and try to go over to Waresboro, to vote, it'd say, no, you just voted 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, whatever. You already had a check-in. So it wouldn't allow that,
And I can see that, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
I can see that being an issue when we have municipal elections, for example. If there's a city election or county, and they're voting by districts, their ballot should be on their ballot. But if I live in Manor and I go to City Auditorium, I won't have that person on my ballot.
Correct. So
that's
why
the issue that I can see.
Yeah, that's why you have to have the ballot on demand printer, because once you check in, it'll automatically print the ballot that's specific to your combo, to your district. And that's another issue. Another reason why we were against the absentee ballot, paper ballot on demand, not on demand printed, but just having ballots there. Because if I'm going to use the auditorium because that's almost 7,000 voters, okay? That means we got to have at least 7,000 ballots, okay? It sounds simple. Now, if it's a primary, you don't know how many people are going to vote Democrat, how many people are going to vote Republican. So now you're not having 7,000, you're going to have more than that, because more people may pull a Republican ballot versus, they normally may pull a Democratic ballot or vice versa. But the problem would be if you come in and say your combination is 99, okay? That means that we'd have to have a volunteer, a poll worker go over there, go through the ballots, make sure we pull your 99 ballot, have you sign for it, and then you vote on it, okay? That sounds simple, but now you're having human error, because that person has to make sure they pull the right ballot. Because if they pull a 98 ballot, and the difference may be a school board race versus, having the ballot that you have, I mean, you may vote in a different school board race than you would normally vote. So there's a lot of moving parts with these, having absentee ballots, just people coming in saying, I'm on a paper ballot, because now you having, senior citizens, you having retired people go there and say, okay, which ballot you got? Now you got to have a table of 7,000, combos, we auditorium, I think we have like 15 combos. So now you're gonna have 15 stacks of ballots that you got to make sure you go and pull the right one. And if you have ever been over there when we done absentee ballots, when we get ready to mail them out, you know, the way we do it, we go and you pull the ballots out, we double check, you know, and then if me and Lori or me and Taylor, whatever, doing it, and then she'll get them, and then she'll double check, make sure I'm putting the right ballot in the right envelope. So we double check at least one time, you know, say, hey, double check, make sure I pull the right ballot. And sometimes you pull out the wrong one. And she say, oh no, I thought this was supposed to be, you know, 98. Oh, I pulled out 99 by mistake. Then we'll go back in and pull out the right one. And it's just common, you know, it's human error. But we catch them before they're sent out because we double check, we triple check. They would have to do the same thing on election day. You know, you can't get rushed. You know, you're gonna, whether that line is 30 people or 3 people, you can't get rushed. You're gonna have to take your time to make sure you pull the exact ballot for that person. You know, so.
Comment, Mr. Chairman.
Preston.
Just because I've seen this, you know, whenever I was poll observing, you know, you get busy and there's that chance of human error. It only takes one. And that's the one that gets out there in the public that how did this error happen? You know, that's what the average person doesn't realize is that you can have all the safety things in place, but it only takes one.
And that's what we try to avoid, that one. You know, we've done a pretty good job, but like I say, you know, that one, we've had a couple ones, you know, and we try to catch it before it, you know, the vote's cast. But sometimes you don't. I remember prime examples, you know, years ago, 18 years ago when Marion first ran, Mr. Solomon Gaines first ran, you know, she wasn't able to vote for herself on the city commission because there was an error, and her card did not have her on the ballot, and they gave her the wrong card. This was what 20 years ago. Yeah.
Actually, I never voted for myself.
Yeah. Boy, she was hot.
I was hot. I was.
She
She
called
told
me.
me. I
She
said,
was
wait a
hot.
minute.
So-
I voted for all the everybody else on that ballot, and then got down to the city election, and I was not on there. And when I notified the staff at the time, they said, "Well, just go ahead and cast it." And I said, "Cast it? Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
And once I cast it, it wasn't taken care of. I was so angry. I was so angry. But it does happen, especially if you have people working the polls who don't know what to do in a situation like that. Instead of calling somebody and say, "Hey, this is what happened." But anyway,
Yeah.
and after that, I didn't have any no one ran against me after that. So I never actually voted for myself ever, ever. So yeah, stuff happens. It does.
Mr. Chambliss, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just curious about the toner. Do you use toner or do you use inkjet?
I'm not sure on this new system.
Inkjets do a lot better.
Yeah, I would imagine it probably would be some type of inkjet. But there's already a demo out there for the, you know, I'm not sure who's manufacturing the, you know, the printers for 'em.
Well, if you ever have any chance to input on when they start looking for those things, you make sure they have a guarantee that whatever ink that they're using or powder does not dry up within 3 months.
That part.
Yeah, that's the issue we have now because of humidity.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have, you know, and a lot of the high humidity counties are having issues now with their printers. That's where sometimes on your ballots on the BMDs, when they print ballots, you see a little smudge because of the humidity, and the printers sit up for 6 months between elections.
Between elections.
Yeah, and so it doesn't happen like, you know, in the northern areas like it happens down here. It's really bad down here in the Camden area and Savannah area. Yeah. But that's the you know, that's what we're facing now. So we're hoping that the legislators will really take a good, strong look at it, and you know, and consider the whole package. You know, not to make a political stance, but just to consider everything. And the last one we have is to update and modernize requirements for special elections. We're thinking that, you know, we need to look at some, you know, the way special elections are handled, because it's costing counties a lot of money. you know, a lot of the counties were kind of like upset because, you know, remember the Public Service Commission races, you know, statewide races, but it was funded 100% by counties, you know, something that we had no control over, you know, and at the time we didn't even know it, so a lot of the counties didn't budget that money, and so that was so we talk about special elections like that need to be looked at as some cost share or something, because that has nothing to do with anything down here that we're doing. You know, it's not like we put this election on the ballot. It's just that we were told got to have a special election and a runoff, and so now it's costing us the extra $10,000, you know, just to do it. So we hoping you know the state will look at our priorities. Gavio is really stressing to the point where no matter what they do going forward, you know, they utilize, like you said, you know, a lot of the election officers, a lot of the supervisors, a lot of the staff in helping choose the equipment. You know, don't just go out there and just say, hey, we got bids for this equipment. This is what we're going to use. Let us, you know, test it, sample it. Let us do some, you know, see how it works for counties before they just go out there and just say, this is what we're going to use going forward. Because we don't want to, you know, be caught behind the 8 ball again. So, our priorities. Any questions before I move on? Okay. Next one is just a list of updated election legislations that's out there. I'm not going to go over them. If you see something that you know that you want to talk about, there's about like 10 of them on the list here. I put the bill number, and then in the highlighted portion, that's the name of the bill, and just tell you where we are in the you know, in the situation. I mean, where we stand on a lot of the bills. So,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. House Bill 414, elections persons to include certain non-residents.
on that one there, they just they revising the definition of
Okay.
non-resident. That's all. They're not really changing anything.
Okay.
It's just that you know, that's why persons in quotation marks, because they just defining a
What
person.
that is, okay.
Yeah. So
But it's not saying that non-residents can vote.
no, sir.
Okay.
Okay, that was my question. Really, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, that's it, thank you.
Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. We do not have the financial summary normally around about the 10th. I'm expecting Ms. Beverly to get us the financial summary probably today or tomorrow, because normally around about the 10th, 11th is when they put out the previous financial statements, but we're expecting to be on budget. You know, we had a few items the first of the year, you know, like our insurance and things like that, you know, that we had to pay for that was kind of costly. So, but we're still within our budget. We're still under budget, and we're looking good on that.
That's good. All right. That clears the supervisor's report. Superintendent's report. That means y'all. Andy, you have anything?
I don't.
Miss Marion?
Nothing except to, again, extend condolences to Ms. Whitfield on the loss of her son. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
I don't have anything,
Nothing.
nothing.
A lawyer with nothing? About that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, since I was going to mention about Board Member Whitfield, you know, I sent a flower arrangement to the family on behalf of the board, so I'll let y'all know that. So,
Very good.
you know,
That's good.
so keep her and her family in your prayers.
All right, our next meeting is scheduled for March 10th. Time out. We have the last page in our packet today. And this you revised from our last meeting, right?
I realized the error that was made.
Right.
That was for the runoff date. I had the wrong date down there. May 16th should have been in June. You know, that's why I just changed that, because I had May 16th after June 9th. So I just corrected that.
Okay,
So I want y'all to have a corrected copy.
okay.
Today is February 10th. There's something niggling in my head about, I got somewhere out of state somewhere on March the 10th. I hate to miss a meeting. Trying to think, if I confirm that I'm gonna be out of state that day, would y'all be amenable to moving the date of our meeting?
How much notice we have to give?
Just a week's notice, that's fine.
I'm sorry?
Just a week's notice, that'd
Okay,
be good.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I can confirm, I'll
Okay.
confirm with Carlos today,
Okay,
and, we'll see.
as long as I can get it on my calendar in time,
Right.
yeah, so I can block whatever else may come my
Yeah.
way.
And you know, and I realize, you start moving one thing, you got bowling pins falling, going everywhere, so I'm very cognizant of that. And, will not ask for a change if I can help it at all. All right, we have come to the end of our agenda. And with that being said, the time now is 10:53, and I declare this meeting adjourned.
Alrighty.